Hello, and welcome to our playthrough of Legacy of Dragonholt, published by Fantasy Flight Games, designed by Nikki Valens. I'm Kozy.
And I'm Jack.
And we are here to play this tabletop RPG that plays a lot like a choose-your-own adventure book. You're going to notice some familiar tabletop elements such as, experience and skills that we're going to have to check for. But if you're trying to compare this to D&D, it is really not going to be like that at all. It's going to be way more like a choose-your-own adventure book if you've ever read one. Basically, I am going to play kind of like the pseudo DM, but I'm mainly just reading from this book, and it's going to tell me what page to turn to whenever we get to a decision. And Jack here is actually going to be the one playing the game, and he is going to be making all the decisions.
Yes, I am.
Are you ready for that?
No.
And that's mainly because I've already played through this game, and I wanted Jack to kind of... I didn't want to influence the decisions in the game since I've already played through it all. And so I'm happy to just read out the book to him. And I think without further ado, Jack, why don't you introduce your character?
All right. So my guy is called Takeen. He is a catfolk guy, 19 years old, which is either very old or just a kid who knows cat years, right?
I'm gonna hold to now that he's 19 years old, but he's like a super old fart. He's just falling to pieces. He's like I imagine
Just raggedy.
he looks like that one cat from the video, like, Ma, there's a stray cat outside. He doesn't have to look like that though.
Right.
You're gonna
So my guy's a little short. I mean, considering I'm a little bit on the medium side. He's a 5'2", but he's a little buff. But also he's so shy. And I'll put a picture of him up somewhere sometime because
yeah.
I need
Hopefully,
to draw that.
hopefully he'll have it done by the time this episode goes up. Hopefully, you're looking at the picture of him
Yeah,
right
throughout
now.
this whole time.
Right now,
Yeah,
because
look at
I'm
him.
kind of just going to have a picture of him up for the whole video. There
Looks,
isn't really much else going on. This is going to be more of like a podcast like type thing.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Basically, he's an orphan and shit. Typical stuff.
yeah, typical stuff. I read that someone burned down his village. That sucks.
Yeah,
Why?
poor guy. Burned down his village, but mysteries for other times. This is about a quest, right?
This is about a quest, and
That has nothing to do with that.
okay, we've been recording for 5 minutes. Probably good time to get started.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Give me the immersion.
All right, here comes the immersion. You specifically you.
Yeah.
You slump down on the wooden bench, stretching your legs. You have been traveling for nearly a week now toward a small village called Dragonholt. Your journey is at the request of Celise, a former adventuring companion and friend, who has since found her calling as a tutor to the children of Countess Regina Fairfax, Lady of Dragonholt. You take a moment to reread her letter. And there's actually a game element to this, which is why this is like a tabletop RPG, because there's like you'll get items and stuff later, and those are like on cards that I have here. So I've got her letter in my hand, and I'll send you a picture of it later. And it says, "My friend, I pray this letter finds you in good health for once, because I need you to travel. As you might have heard, I have taken a position as a tutor in the household of Lady Regina Fairfax, Countess of Dragonholt, just outside the village. I elected to take this position because I hoped for some peace and quiet after that business in Nerrick Hall. Had I known what my future held, I would have done something else entirely. Lady Regina's 3 children are more than lively enough to deny me anything resembling peace or quiet. Even now that they are mainly grown, I remain very busy. But I did not write you to complain about my lot in life. As you know, I never complain, even when the so-called dwarven wine is very obviously an inferior human vintage. Again, or when my favorite cloak, the blue one, is stained by some drunken lush spilling his wine. Elves should really stay out of human taverns. I write to you because I fear something sinister is at work here in Dragonholt, and I require your assistance. I dare not say more openly, as I think it likely this message will be intercepted. I can trust no one here to help me with this matter. After that business in Nerikal, I have only you and a small handful of other allies left. Please help me. There is more at stake than you know. Signed, Celise. And then you flip it over, and on the back it says, please refer to my first letter.
Huh.
Right.
Interesting.
So, again, I kind of wish you, as like kind of a little hint, I wish you had this physically. I'm going to try to get a copy of this to you somehow.
Okie
You are uncertain why Celise has summoned you to Dragonholt. Her letter is strange, speaking only of a vague threat that requires your assistance. And although you are sure the letter was written in her hand, the message contains several details that you find uncharacteristic of the elf you adventured with in the past. You had never known Celise to drink dwarven wine, and you would swear she always wore a green cloak. It is not unthinkable that her preferences have changed over the years, but something about the way this message is written makes you feel there is more to the letter than is obvious. You have always known Celise to be excessively proper in her speaking. She must have been in a panic while writing to have produced so many spelling errors. And the reason why I was like reading it in the way I was is I was trying to like emphasize all the spelling errors. There's like a bunch
Yeah,
in here.
yeah.
It's very silly. Even more alarming is the brief note on the back of the letter. You had not received any word from Celise before this one. Could she have sent another letter that was Could she have sent another letter that was intercepted as she had feared? Regardless of the vagueness of her request, you owe Celise at least as much of after that business in Necker Hall. As the tutor in the employ of a countess, she may be in a position to reward you handsomely for any assistance you can render. Excuse me, is this road the fastest way to Dragonholt? I'm going to try to do voices. This is probably not going to go very well. I'm going to do my best, though. I'm probably not going to remember what voice I did for anyone, but there's a
Yeah.
lot of... Oh, man. What have I got myself into? Okay.
Role playing, baby.
You look up from the letter to see Miriam, a gnome merchant you've been traveling with, talking to another traveler and pointing down a path toward a forbidding-looking forest. If you're going to Dragonholt, you'll have to go through Eventide Forest. Ain't no way around it. About a day's travel straight through. Miriam thanks the traveler, and he continues on his way in the direction opposite the forest. You fold the letter and stow it away before standing. Won't do to rest for too long. You sling your baggage over your shoulder and prepare to resume your travels. Miriam turns to face you. Well, what are we waiting for? If that's the road to Dragonholt, let's be off. Miriam has been traveling with you for some 3 days now. Like you, she is traveling to Dragonholt, and, as she put it when you met, the more the merrier. We should proceed with caution, calls Braxton from behind you. The orc woman hefts Miriam's bag off the ground where the gnome had left it and drops it into Miriam's open arms. Rumor has it there are bandits who make camp in these woods. We should watch over our backs as we pass through. Why did I say through like that? I'm just experimenting. Okay.
Get it.
Since meeting Miriam and the orc knight errant, you have found Braxton to be the more cautious of the pair by a wide margin. As far as you can tell, Miriam has hired Braxton for protection, but at times the orc seems to dote on the gnome more than a bodyguard would. You nod in agreement at Braxton's comment. With a last fleeting glance at the crossroads signpost, you follow after the energetic gnome who has already started off towards Eventide Forest. Alright, so here is your first choice. You get to play the game.
Woo! Interaction time.
Alright. So you can say one of these three things. Let's make some headway before we lose the light. Or, what else have you heard about these bandits? Or, stick close, Miriam. It's dangerous to get separated. You get one. We're not scum saving any of this.
Yeah, okay.
If we scum save this, I have to reread the entire thing.
No, we're not. No. If people die, they die.
I gotta do all the options. Okay. Let's make some headway. What have you heard about the bandits? Stick close, Miriam.
I feel like my guy would be protective of Miriam, so...
All right. Read entry 4577. So, as you guys see, I am turning the page to that specific prompt. So he doesn't really get to roleplay exactly what he says, but there are choices, and there are ability checks, stuff, as you'll see later.
Stuff similar to it. Miriam, stay close. Like said, more little gruffer voice. Like, Miriam,
don't go into the forest, Miriam. Just say, Miriam, there's bandits around. I don't know how we're getting out of this one, Miriam.
Stop it.
All right.
Okay, I guess my guy's Batman now.
He's Catman.
Catman.
He's Catman. Yeah, he's an orphan. Was he rich?
I don't know. Probably not. So not exactly.
I do not.
Moving on.
Moving on. All right. The young gnome glances over your shoulder at you with a raised eyebrow. You're starting to sound like Braxton. She twirls to face you and walks backward down the road in front of you. Despite my size, I'm quite capable of protecting myself, you know. Braxton chuckles warmly to herself. I believe our new friend is worried for you not because of your size, but because of your nature. Even though you can protect yourself, try not to worry us too much. Mark story point E3. So this is another important bit in this, is when we hit certain dialogues or certain events, gain certain items, I've got a list of story points, notes, and stuff, and I'm going to be marking them throughout the story, and then something later will say, is this story point E3 in this? Anyway, something later will say, if you have this marked, go to this page. You know. So I'm going to put a big old X on there. And I wanted to get it all, I could have just done this all PDF, but I just like the paper aesthetic. I like paper. Okay, another choice. You can say, we should hurry along before it gets dark. Or, do the rumors about the bandits have any merit? And how about from now on, whenever you actually ask one of these questions, how about you do it in character?
Okay.
Right.
Okay, so the options are bandits or move along.
Yeah, move along before it gets dark.
Okay, obviously I'm gonna go in deep with the protective aspect and be like, do the bandits have actual merit to them? And then...
Ma! There's a stray cat outside! I'm so sorry. This is not what you wanted, but this is all I can
That's
picture.
Miriam, isn't it?
Okay. Alright, read entry 3298. I guess if you somehow have this book, if you somehow have the Dragonholt game, you can follow along. 3.
You could just send me the PDF or PNGs that I need later.
That's the problem. I have not been able to find the PDF for the entire storybook or anything.
Well, I mean, you could just take pictures of the things I really need.
Yeah. No, I have. I've got those files. But there's not
Cool.
a lot you need other than the character sheet, honestly.
Fair enough. Okay. Do your
Okay.
thing.
Braxton strides beside you, keeping an ever watchful eye on her eager companion. Not much. I've just heard from some travelers that a number of caravans have been ambushed while passing through. Valuable goods were taken, but the merchants and the traders have been mostly unharmed. Mark story point R6. So again, I don't know what that means. Like to mark.
So that's like a later on kind of deal.
Yeah, we've had that conversation, and so if we've
No.
had that conversation, um,
X thing will
then
happen.
X thing will or won't happen.
Oh.
You know what I mean? All
Yeah.
right, 1340.
It's like Bethesda, but if it worked.
Yeah. Oh boy, here comes Starfield. As you speak with your traveling companions, small trees begin to dot the terrain around you. Tall grass gives way to brush, and you soon find yourself at the edge of a forest. Time passes. Alright, so what happens here is there's also a time counter. So on this specific event, we have 8 time counters.
Hmm.
So we will only expend a time counter whenever it tells us to. Sometimes it'll say to expend 2 of them at a time. But one interesting thing is when you do get to the namesake Dragonholt, there will be a time for like the whole day. You get to go around the town and hang out and stuff. But if you choose to go on an adventure, that will have its own that'll have its own time like counters,
Oh,
right?
interesting.
So if you're like um, going through the day, you don't necessarily have to worry about like, oh, if I do this like at the begin, if I decide to go on the adventure at the beginning of the day, then like it uses up the rest of the day. Um, that won't necessarily be an issue,
Okay.
which is pretty cool. Pretty cool. I don't know how much makes sense, me just saying it like that,
Yeah,
but
we'll just wing it for now.
but it's pretty neat. As you walk, you take the chance to become better acquainted with your fellow travelers. Um, so you can either ask Miriam what she plans to do in Dragonholt, or ask Braxton what she plans to do in Dragonholt.
Okay. All right. I feel like I've sowed my seeds enough into the whole Miriam protection thing, so I might as well,
So
right?
you have to go in harder.
Harder. She will be my child.
She's
She's
the
my
right.
Robin. She is my Robin.
She's the right size too.
uh,
She's older. She's older than you, but you do not understand that. Since you're a
yeah,
catfolk, just small equals young. That's all you understand.
yeah. So my guy is timid, so he'll twiddle his fingers and be like, so what do you want to do in Dragonholt, Miriam?"
Okay, Miriam. All right. Story point E7. I'm glad you asked, bubbles Miriam. I am going to set up the finest apothecary's shop that Dragonhold has ever seen. I'll brew potions and sell remedies and make lots of money. She nods, tossing a vial. Oh no, she's a capitalist. She nods, tossing a vial of pink liquid into the air, catching it, and balancing it on her finger for no particular reason. My aunt can help me get started. She already runs the best inn in town, and she's a fantastic tailor, too. Miriam flourishes her half cape and brightly colored tunic. Ask
Hmm.
Miriam what types of potions she brews. Ask Miriam about her family. Exchange brewing recipes with Miriam. This requires the alchemy skill. Do you
I do
have
not
that?
have.
You do
I
not
do
have that.
not.
I've got your character sheet here. You do not. So
I am
that is an
alchemy-less.
so instead of rolling for anything, basically, Jack will either have the ability for the prompt or not.
Hmm. So
Um,
that's out of the question. No alchemy. No alchemy for me.
okay, so there's a couple more actually.
Oh, okay.
Compliment Miriam's attire and inquire about its maker. Requires craftsmanship or empathy. Um,
Ooh, I do have
you
craftsmanship.
do have craftsmanship. There's more. Tell Miriam
Okay.
what you know about Dragonholt's markets, requires history or streetwise, or
Do not have.
educate Miriam on methods for barter and trade, requires persuasion or streetwise. It looks like the only one.
I could do his willpower. Not willpower, craftsmanship.
Yeah, you can only do the craftsmanship one of these entries. So you can either ask her about her family, ask her what she brews, or talk about her clothes.
uh, well, if she's gonna be Robin, she needs to be wearing the part, right?
Okay.
So,
Read entry
so he'll
1942.
he'll
We're
just
gonna.
kneel down and
I
be
can't
like,
believe. I can't
"That's a
believe what
very
I've done.
peculiar dress. Uh, do you have any other kind of fashion sense? Perhaps, maybe."
It doesn't say insult her. That's not. You do not get to do that. No.
No, no. Like perhaps maybe, some tights and a cape.
Oh my gosh. I'm not. You're not taking anymore. You are now.
Nah, it's all good.
Uh, I'm trying to think of a cat pun for Bruce Wayne, other than Catman, of course.
Right.
Yeah, man. Do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. Okay. Where?
Well, yeah. He just talks about dresses and clothes and all that stuff.
You compliment Miriam's clothes and make a few astute comments as to the skill with which they were made. The cape in particular seems like it is both tightly woven and brilliantly hemmed. She is wearing a cape.
She's wearing a
She's
cape.
wearing a cape. She's Robin. You
She's
like
Robin.
it, says Miriam. Aunt Sapphire made it specifically for me. It keeps the sun off and the rain, and I think it looks just dashing. She holds her cape out in her arms and makes a few swooshing motions, letting the fabric billow around her. We all stand Miriam here. Miriam is. We're just gonna spoil this right now. Miriam is a good being, as the kids say.
Yes.
Anyway, we're marking story points D4 and M3. Sometimes it may just mean if we ask her a question, we can't ask her again, right? That prompt just won't come out.
Okay.
If 2 or more time has passed, it is not. We only have 1 time passed. Otherwise, read entry 7616. You continue down the road, and the sky overhead is soon obscured by the foliage of the forest canopy. Streams of sunlight dance around you as a gentle breeze shakes the leafy ceiling. Miriam skips forward and spins through the shafts of light, smiling and laughing. It would be best if you stayed close. Becoming lost in the woods is all too common for those not accustomed to traveling without the sun or moon to guide them. Despite the orc's warning, Braxton makes no additional effort to keep pace with the playful gnome. If storyboard N3 is marked, it is not. It is not. Otherwise, read entry 7094. Huh. And then sometimes it's just like, I wonder what that was.
Yeah.
Like, what did we miss in just like a couple options?
Already.
What about you, says Miriam. What are you planning to do in Dragonholt? Before you can answer, she hunches over and crooks one finger like a sinister hook, putting a sneer in her voice. Are you seeking vengeance on a terrible foe? Just as quickly, she swoons, throwing one hand artfully over her forehead. Or are you in search of love? Miriam tumbles backward over a long log with a squawk. She grins up at you from a pile of sticks and leaves. Or maybe it's just a chance encounter. She continues to talk about everything and nothing before finally pausing for a breath. So, you can ask Miriam about Eventide Forest. You can ask Miriam about how she met Braxton. Or you can ask Miriam about gnomes. Because she's a gnome, if, we hadn't established that already.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think he'd be more curious about relations. So You'd be like, "Oh, how did you meet Braxton, Miriam?"
Okay. Which was that? 3686. Miriam
Just like
starts.
how I'm sorry, but I just like how my guy's ignoring everyone else.
She is just hyper focused on Miriam. He has to come on all
You
the.
will be my Robin. You
He has to
will.
come on all the adventures. Miriam starts laughing before she even begins her story about meeting Braxton. Well, first of all, whatever Braxton tells you, I wasn't drunk, says Miriam, but we did both get thrown out of the same tavern together. It was a good night. I remember it rather differently, says Braxton. Well, that's because you're no fun. Miriam winks at you. You see, Braxton is a wet blanket, but she keeps following me around because she secretly knows that she would never do anything exciting if she didn't. Also, you pay me to keep you safe. Also that.
Hmm.
If 2 or more times pass, it is not. Otherwise, read 3859. Eventide Forest is an intimidating landmark, and you can see why Braxton was concerned. Within an hour of entering the forest, the thin young trees give way to ancient, gnarled guardians. Gnarled. It's a gnarled. Sorry. I just love GN together. I had a D&D character once named Nicholas,
Oh
who was
my
a gnome.
god.
He was great. It was probably one of my favorite role plays. All right. Anyway, time passes. So now 2 time has passed. So again, time does not pass unless it says it does.
Cool.
In the
Right.
darkness of Eventide Forest, which like implies that like on some of those earlier prompts, like more time could have passed, right?
Hmm.
So it's really brilliant how they've woven all these together.
Yeah.
You soon come to a stop when you catch up to Miriam. She is glancing down what appears to be a small game trail that branches away from the main road. Up ahead, you see that a number of fallen trees are blocking your path. An old crossroads signpost marks the split, but the wood is too rotted and the writing is indecipherable. What do we do now? It doesn't seem like Lady Regina has been alerted yet. Braxton strains to look over the fallen trees. We could clear the road ourselves and send word to Lady Regina once we reach Dragonholt. We could try this trail, offers Miriam. Maybe it connects to the main road on the other side. So, you can either scout along the game trail and report back, climb over the trees and continue on the main road, or clear the road of debris before continuing.
Hmm.
The small game trail, climb over the trees, or clear the debris.
I think climb over the trees.
Climb over the trees? Alright.
Yeah. We got agility in this bit.
Roll an A4. It might ask for that. Oh. Climbing over the fallen trees proves more difficult than you expected. It seems that one enormous tree fell and brought several others with it, resulting in an extensive tangle of branches and boughs. Many of the trees that collapsed were dead, and their branches have a tendency to break off with a snap, crack, when subjected to the slightest weight. Others are still fully leafed, making it difficult to see where you're going. We should proceed carefully, says Braxton. These trees must weigh several tons. If the pile shifts unexpectedly, we could be crushed. Time passes. Where's my thing? Time passes. We are now at 3 time. You each lose 1 stamina. You each lose 1 additional stamina unless you have athletics.
No, I have agility, not athletics.
Okay, so dear viewers, or listeners, what have you. So stamina is basically life points in this game. It represents more than just health. It's also like the amount of energy you have to do certain things. You don't necessarily die when you run out of stamina, but instead some of your skills that you can use in some of these prompts will get locked. I don't know what happens when they all get locked. I don't even know if you can die. I can't remember.
Okay, so I lost 2 stamina, yeah?
Yeah, so he started at 16, now he gets down at 14.
Yeah.
After a few
Okay.
after a few missteps and undignified squawks, Miriam grudgingly consents to let Braxton lift her over the worst of the pile. We all have our talents, said Braxton at Miriam's disgruntled expression. Mine happens to be lifting heavy things. I am not that heavy, huffs Miriam, not even by Gnome standards. Braxton laughs and hauls her down from the perch, finally reaching the road again on the far side of the blockage. Mark story point D6. So this one in particular probably just means that you didn't clear the path or something, right?
Yeah.
Because that's an option. But maybe clearing the path would have taken more time and you would have had to do a different check.
Mm-hmm.
Or lost more stamina, so who knows?
We'll never know.
After following the winding road for what feels like hours, you begin to fear that you are traveling in circles. Just as you are about to suggest turning back, Miriam calls out from beyond the next bend. There's a clearing up here. As you round the bend, you see Miriam staring up at a single massive tree that stands alone in the center of a clearing some 20 paces across. Although the great oak's canopy is just as thick as anywhere else in the forest, its branches reach well above the tops of the surrounding trees, affording you a view of the sky at the edges of the clearing. If 3 or more time has passed, which it has, it's already night. No wonder I feel so tired, Miriam mutters with a large yawn. Sure enough, when you look up, you see stars sparkling brightly in the vast emptiness of the night sky. You note how brilliant they seem so far from the torchlight of the city. At the edges of the clearing, several paths cut through the dense trees, leading away from the great oak in different directions. Only a few seem well traveled, but none are marked by signs. Braxton, too, has noticed the myriad options for further travel. We should get our bearings before making camp for tonight. Miriam rolls her eyes at Braxton's suggestion. We can use the sun as our guide in the morning. I'm going to sleep. With that, she takes out a bedroll and makes camp at the base of a great oak. Or the great oak. There's only one oak around.
Mm.
Ooh. Okay, so you can determine your heading by observing the stars, which requires either arcana, devotion, or survival.
I do have Arcana.
You do. Convince
Okay.
Miriam to read the stars before she sleeps. Requires empathy or persuasion. Climb the great oak to look for a landmark. Requires agility or athletics. Or leave the navigation to Braxton and turn in for the night.
Mm.
So you can't. You have 0 empathy.
But I have agility.
So you can't. You can jump real high, but you don't know how people work.
Yes.
So you can't do the star one. So you can observe the stars, you can climb the tree, or you can just go to bed.
I feel like I should climb the tree.
All right.
I am a cat after all. Haha. I'm a cat. Cat of the night.
As you climb up the great oak tree, you find a number of curious items secreted throughout its branches. There are scraps of paper covered in writing in various languages and hands, some tied around branches, others glued to the trunk with sticky pine sap. There are intricately carved statuettes tucked into crooks in the tree's boughs or strung from leather cords. There are small clay pots tucked into holes. You pocket a small wooden trinket to show your companions when you return to the ground. You gain the wooden trinket item B. So this is one of the items. So you just have this now.
Ooh, a wooden trinket.
Yep, little wooden trinket.
Neato.
And the card says, you found this intricate wooden trinket at the Great Oak in Eventide Forest. It looks quite old. A heart is carved into the wood containing the letters T and U. Leaving the other objects as undisturbed as you can manage, you climb from the thick sturdy branch to thick sturdy branch until you find yourself at the upper boughs of the tree. Moving more cautiously, lest the thinner branches give way beneath your weight, you make your way to the edge of the leaves and look out over Eventide Forest. The trees beneath you murmur and whisper in the night breeze, visible as little more than a dark ocean of rustling leaves. In the distance, you can see the beacon over Dragonholt, rising above the forest. You are now confident you know the way to Dragonholt. Our story point P3. When you return to camp, you show the wooden curio to your companions. But they have no better idea what to make of it than you do. You decide to keep the trinket as a souvenir to remind you of your trip. So we are going to page 8549. You assist Braxton in gathering some kindling and start a small campfire a few paces from the great oak. While you work, you can hear Miriam humming softly to herself. You set out your bedroll and relax. Although you are all tired, a brief chat around the campfire is not an unwelcome event. You can ask Miriam what she plans to do in Dragonholt, but requires N3 being marked. Did I mark the wrong one? Oh, okay, I see. Alright, no, we're good. I'm good.
Okay.
Okay, you cannot ask Miriam because N3 is not marked, but story point E7 is marked, which is the requirement to ask Braxton what she plans to do in Dragonholt. So in this case, it seems that that story point marks that you already talked to Miriam about this. Right?
Yeah.
So because
Makes
we talked to
sense.
Miriam,
There's no point in not talking to her like that again.
right. So we marked that story point because it marks that we talked to Miriam. Which is why Braxton requires story point E7 being marked. Because that entails that we already talked to Miriam. And the N3 means we talked to Braxton.
I see. Okay.
Okay. So you can talk to Braxton or you can go straight to sleep.
We might as well. I mean, we're accompanying Braxton, so
Okay.
I guess I should say something, huh?
You know,
What are your plans, Braxton, for Dragonholt?
Braxton smiles gently, nodding her head in Miriam's direction. I will continue to protect our friend Miriam for as long as she requires my services. As you may have noticed, looking after her does not leave me much time for anything else. I resemble that remark, calls Miriam. After that, I am not certain. I was not certain what to do with myself before meeting Miriam either. I suppose I will travel to a larger city and try to find employment. You can ask Braxton about her past adventures, ask Braxton how she met Miriam, tell Braxton about your past adventures, requires deception or performance. You
Don't have any.
Ask Braxton which lord she served, empathy or history, nope. Ask Braxton about her military training, history or military, nope. Show Braxton how to foil sleight of hand. Requires awareness or thievery. Nope. Okay, you.
God, so I literally have the blandest option, huh?
You are not Braxton's type.
Nope.
So ask Braxton about her past adventures or talk about how she met Miriam.
Okay, so I kind of got about how they met each other a little bit from Muriel's side. So
But Braxton said that that's not how she remembered things. So maybe she'll have a different
right,
story.
but then there's also backstory
Mm-hmm.
for Braxton. So I feel like we should do that. Get to know the character a bit more.
Okay.
So so my guy curiously looks up at her and is like, so how were your adventures before all of this, Braxton?
Oh, I do what I can to avoid adventure, says Braxton with a gentle smile. It's safer that way. After a few more questions, she sighs. Oh, very well. I shall tell you about the day I received my knighthood. I was quite young and very foolish, and I came across a battle between Lord Garrett Cowler's knights and a large pack of beastmen. I leapt into the battle, hurling my spears at the creatures. I soon ran out of spears, but there was no shortage of beastmen, so I took up the sword of one of the fallen knights and continued to fight. Her fingers brushed the hilt of her sword as she speaks. When the battle was over, only Lord Keller and I were still standing. He knighted me on the spot. She turns away, looking at the forest floor. Is that the sort of thing you wanted to hear about? Where happened she? She just walked up on a battle and then no one survived except for her. Yeesh.
Oh, she got a rugged past. She fits right in the family.
I don't know if she if the guy was like, oh shoot, I'm out of knights. You'll do. You're the last one. You're like outlived.
I need a knight somewhere.
Alright, marking for story points C3 and O2. If 2 or more time has passed, read this entry otherwise. Okay. 438. You changed the subject, electing to ask Braxton what she knows about Dragonholt. I've never been to Dragonholt myself, says Braxton. Lord Kaler's lands were west of here, so I never had occasion to visit. I did hear the village has a fine inn. You heard that from me, calls Miriam. Miriam's aunt runs the place, says Braxton with a smile. Apart from that, I think the place is rather unremarkable. A small collection of houses surrounded by farms and orchards. She frowns and drums her fingers on the hilt of her sword, looking all around. Well, there was that one story about a brave hero who could freeze a dragon's flames in its throat. But I think that was just a story. Yeah, just like her story of throwing spears at freaking being the last one left. Jeez. Braxton lapses into a comfortable silence for some time. You can either ask Braxton about her family, ask Braxton about orcs, or leave Braxton to her thoughts.
Feel like that was a leave me alone kind of
Yeah, you go to one of the
kind of
upstairs, like, Braxton gets up and punches you. You lose all your stamina at the end. You die. That was my leave me alone sigh. Now
yeah.
you will suffer. Okay, we're gonna leave her alone.
Yeah.
3.
I mean, remember, my guy is timid after all. Except for Miriam, for whatever reason.
Don't mind her, Miriam says to you in a hushed voice. Braxton isn't much for socializing. Maybe you two will get along. 2 introverts.
Yeah.
Don't take it personally. I'm sure she'll warm up to you over time. 2 or more time has passed. 096. Miriam lets out a yawn. Miriam lets out a long yawn, and you second the motion. As you nestle into your bedroll for the night, Braxton speaks up. Best we all don't sleep at once. I'll take the first watch. Can I count on you to take the second? You nod your agreement and drift to sleep. So this is for multiplayer. One of you must volunteer to keep watch. Yeah, so that's for multiplayer. 2 time passes, you recover 2 stamina.
Ooh, I'm back to full.
And we are now, see, like it said there, 2 time passes, so we are at 5 time. What time is it? 5.
It's fat.
Oh, well, I guess that's kind of a normal sentence. I don't know. It sounded weirder in my head.
Yeah, because you're thinking more like tallies.
Oh, and you're back to 16. Stamina.
I is back to 16.
You rouse from your slumber to a gentle coaxing from Braxton. Your turn at watch, she says quietly. You rub your eyes for a moment and sit up, taking a drink from your canteen to wake yourself. You glance around camp at your fellow travelers. Braxton prepares her bedroll, lies down, and is quickly asleep. Miriam stirs for a moment, possibly awakened by the brief commotion, and rolls to her other side. A gentle silence holds the clearing. Your journey to Dragonholt has been a long one, but now you are no more than half days' travel from your destination. The crack of burning branches from the campfire keeps you company as you keep watch. The moon is beginning to set, and you know the light of a new dawn will soon grace the forest, clearing where you have made camp. Just then you hear a rustling in a thick bush on one side of the camp and recall Braxton's warning about bandits. You can watch for further movement or signs of danger, arm yourself and take a closer look, wake your fellow traveling companions. Sit and watch, take a look, or wake him up.
I think I'll take a look.
Okay? You grab your weapon and what's your weapon?
What is my weapon? Well, I
It
have
doesn't actually
runes.
describe this. What is your weapon?
Well, I'm Batman. I'm Catman, so I don't know, Catarang?
Yeah, a little cat ring.
Little Catarang.
It's like not even shaped like a boomerang. It's just like a steel cat ears.
Yeah.
It's like a no. It is shaped like a boomerang because it's actually like it's like the cat headphones that streamers wear, but it's
Yep,
sharp.
yep, yep. Exactly.
Oh man, we are giving you a lot of content for your character design.
Oh, seriously, this is just writing itself.
You grab your
Nice.
weapon and slip out of the camp, circling around toward where you heard the sound. As your eyes adjust to the darkness, you move slightly from tree to tree. Wait, that's wrong. You're a cat. Your eyes don't adjust to the dark. You can see in the dark. That game doesn't didn't take that in consideration.
Restart. Different character. Let's go.
You move silently from tree to tree and soon find yourself behind a small group of rough-looking people, lurking in the bushes and watching your camp. Bandits! Mark story point X1 for the X-Files.
In my woods.
There are 3 bandits directly in front of you, 2 men and a woman in torn and stained clothing and scraps of leather armor. The woman holds a strung bow across her knees as she crouches, while one of the men has a spear and the other a long knife in his hand. Wasn't someone on watch by the fire? Asked one of the men. I don't see anyone there now, says the woman. Quiet, says the other man. Wait for the signal. They clearly haven't noticed you. Just as clearly, they're intending to attack your traveling companions. You can either shout a warning to your traveling companions, draw your weapon and engage the bandits, sneak up on the bandits and ambush them. Requires stealth. You took that
I
one.
have stealth. I'm Catman.
For your neutral B, you wield a gun and you shoot all 3 of them.
Okay, are those my only 3?
Yeah, that's your only 3.
Then stealth it up,
Stealth
baby.
it is. Yeah, honest. So, you're going to find you do want to use your skills when it gives you the ability, but sometimes you use your skills and then it needs you to use another skill that you may not have in the same sequence.
Okay.
You creep carefully up behind the bandits, ghosting up behind the man with the spear. Moving swiftly, you grab his spear and twist, tearing it from his grasp and bringing it up across his throat, and you just slice it. He's dead. You're
He's
not Batman.
dead.
No.
I am not. I'm
He
more.
gurgles and kicks, then goes still as you drag. Oh, wait, you did kill him.
Yep,
I
yep.
can't believe you did this.
I can't believe you've done this.
I can't
Passes
believe.
out and dies.
Wow, I can't believe you, the player, did that. And
In this game. Okay,
there's
keep
one of
going,
them
keep
in the
going.
trees, shouted the bow-armed woman, loosing an arrow blindly in your direction. The shaft passes within a hand's breadth of your head. You see her pulling back to fire again. You drop your unconscious captain. Okay, you didn't kill him. You drop your unconscious captain and sprint back from the camp. You hear confusion in the forest all around you as the bandits try to track you down. You shout a warning and rush back into the camp, hearing the bandits swear and move to follow you. Wait, what? We're supposed to wait for the signal, hisses one. That was the signal, shouts the other. As you skid to a stop by the campfire, you see Braxton already on her feet with her shield in hand. Miriam still staggering out of her tangling blanket. What is it, grumbles Miriam. What's going on? Bandits, mumbles Braxton as a half dozen of the desperate-looking figures run into the firelight, weapons held high. 300. Braxton hefts a heavy steel shield and slashes her longsword threateningly at one of the approaching bandits. Miriam produces 2 flasks and on top stops one of them. A thick acid smoke pours from its open mouth as she holds it aloft, ready to throw. See, that's why when I did it, I took alchemy, because that's just cool. Like throwing
Yeah, that is
potions.
pretty cool.
You're like a grenader.
Yeah.
3 of the bandits suddenly rush forward, charging the camp. Miriam hurls a smoking flask, which smashes against one of their bucklers. A billowing cloud of acid fog erupts from the impact site. The bandit shrieks and flails, dropping his buckler to the ground as it dissolves. Oh, she killed him. He's he
That's my
is
Robin.
he
That is
is
my Robin.
yeah. You're Catman. Catman is not Batman in the sense of Catman just kills. Kind of like how like cats like are always just secretly plotting your demise.
Always. That is Catman's duty.
And Catman just carries it out. The other 2 bandits continue their charge. One swings an axe at Miriam, but Braxton catches the blade with her longsword and slams her shield into the man, sending him tumbling to the ground. He dies.
Oh,
That's gonna be my, no, that's,
everyone's.
I'm just gonna keep adding that in. I'm sorry, like, I want to read it verbatim, but I feel like it's too good of a bit to pass up of just, like,
He dies.
explicitly stating that someone dies.
Yeah.
Are you ready for this?
Give it to me.
The 3rd bandit dodges around Braxton and darts forward straight towards you. Spear point trained at your chest. You die.
Oh,
Dead.
Catman.
Okay. Dodge the attack. Catch the spear and disarm the bandit. Deflect the spear and counterattack requires dueling or military.
Damn.
Blast the bandit with a rune. Requires arcana or runes.
I do have Arcana!
Okay, you want to do that or you want to do one of these?
Blast the
ones?
fudge.
Okay, blast them. 3, 6, 0, 7.
With my magical cat powers.
You're Catman, but unlike Batman, you actually have powers.
Damn.
You're not just a regular guy, are you?
Oh my god, you know what my rune is? It's that one meme from JoJo with that when they're reading the paper and a gun just slides out
Of the paper.
of the paper.
I've never seen.
Oh, I
your
gotta
rune-
show you that.
You're so not Batman that your rune is a gun. Everyone thinks it's magic. That you have like a magic seal inside the barrel, and that's how the projectile comes out. No, it's just a gun.
It's just a gun.
You're a cat with a gun, and what else did you have? And like streamer cat ears.
Dreamer cat ears. Yeah. Oh, this is stupid. Okay.
Anyways,
I kill him.
you started blasting.
Yeah. Pow pow.
Oh, I lost my place. You produce a blasting rune from a hidden pocket. With a violent thrust of your hand, you channel the arcane energy from the shard into the ground before the charging bandit. The earth swells before erupting in an explosive spray of molten shrapnel. The explosion occurs closer to you than you had anticipated. And you throw yourself to the ground to avoid the shower of stone. If you do not have the agility skill, you lose 3 stamina, but you do.
I freaking do, because I'm Catman.
When the dust settles, you see the bandit lying motionlessly beside the smoldering crater, charred, dead. If story point H3 is marked, it is not. Read entry 6577. Otherwise read 9513. I almost totally got us straight there. Anyway, that's not marked. We're going to this. For Kaler and Hardman, bellows Braxton. In the flickering firelight, she seems a demon from a nightmare, huge and dark and powerful. 3 of the bandits attempt to surround her, but she pivots away, slamming her shield into one and knocking her down, and then slashing at a second and sending him screaming into the dark, Chuck clutching at his face. He then dies. She trades blows with a large human, his axe shielding off her shield, her sword flickering past his face as he dances backward. He also dances and dies. You notice the bandit with his hair in a long braid creeping up behind Braxton with a knife glimmering in his hand. He takes her braid and strangles it across his neck and strangles him to death. He dies. No, I made that up. I made that up.
They die. They all die.
Cuts off her. Oh, jeez. Focus. Focus as Braxton is on her battle with the large bandit. She clearly hasn't noticed the bandit with the braid. So you can either intercept the approaching bandit, catch the bandit from behind, hopefully from the braid, stop the bandit with an alchemic with potion. You do not have alchemy though.
No.
Intercept or catch the bandit.
Ooh, so my options are intercept or catch?
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. Intercept.
Hold on. All right, we're gonna do a little cheating. I saw what the catch the bandit is. It requires stealth.
Oh, okay,
You
okay.
want to
Just
go do that one? Oh,
yeah,
oh,
but give me a second. Give me a second. I'll be right back. Quick
okay,
intermission. Sorry.
okay, okay. As we should have already established, I'm a filthy cheater. So we can do the one that actually requires stealth, or you can stick with the consequences of your choices.
Uh, the heck I will. Stealth me up.
Okay, I love that energy. Moving as quickly as you can on silent feet, you drift up behind the braided bandit. He lifts his knife, ready to bring it down onto Braxton's neck, and you reach to grab him from behind. If you have stealth, oh,
Mm.
45, 45. You grab the braided bandit from behind, twist, and pivot him around your hips. And then you salsa.
Yep. I mean, I was like, what does that mean?
You just like you grab him and then you just like swing him around your hips like a hula hoop.
Uh,
You're sending him tumbling into the ground with undignified yell. Yow.
whoa.
He woos and then he
Ooh.
woos and then
And then
you
just
have to
collapse.
finish the job. He can no
Oh,
longer be allowed to live.
you're no longer a person.
You're the cat. As he struggles to stand, you plant one foot on his back and shove, sending him sprawling yet again, this time into your campfire. Oh, you nasty! You really he-a-wooed, and
Oh,
you
and
cannot
I
let him live after
sizzled him.
you cooked that man. What is he cooking? He
Oh.
screams and shoots to his feet, running in random loops as he attempts to beat the flames out of his hair and clothing. He staggers into another bandit, sending both sprawling, and then you shift your attention elsewhere. And then you just start setting, and then you comically, like Tom and Jerry style, just set everyone on fire this way. He runs into another bandit who catches on fire, which of course is not how it works, but
But magic, I guess.
yeah, magic campfire. I don't know. Your companions are still locked in combat with the bandits who swarm around the edges of the light provided by your campfire. You know, with how like this is exciting though. Like Batman should kill people. You know,
I mean,
screaming incoherently as a scarred bandit rushes at you. In one hand, he brandishes a studded iron mace. The other arm ends in a steel hook, its metal glinting in the firelight. Man was sorry, had a hand with a hook.
with a hook.
With a hook, you know what I'm
Oh,
referencing, right?
yeah, yeah.
Carved or hook hand. Moral of the story: figure was a man with a hook.
With a hook.
Okay, you rush forward to engage the bandit, or brace yourself to receive the charge. That requires military. Can't do that.
Can't do
Flee and
that.
attack at range requires arcana, archery, or thievery.
Hey, I got one of those.
Protect yourself with an alchemical mixture.
I don't have alchemy, but does it mean, is that not an
Requires
option?
alchemy, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So Arcana,
The arcana
uh,
one, or you just bum rush them.
it's time for the gun.
Yeah,
Pa,
gun.
pa, pa.
I got a gun. No
Did you see the
girls.
GIF I sent you?
No, wait. Put it
Oh,
in the
it's
dragon.
in Dragonholt. Look at it. That's my power.
This it's on the screen right now. Actually, I'm screen capping Discord. What is? Why do people take this show seriously?
It's hilarious. That's my power. I open my book and there's a gun.
Oh man. Oh, that's incredible. We're gonna leave that on the screen for a bit, especially as we're reading this next one. Uh, 568. Okay. You maneuver through the melee, dodging around Braxton and another orc woman. Then you break away from the fray, sprinting towards the great oak, hoping to put enough range between yourself and the bandit so that you can attack from relative safety. If you have agility or athletics, which you do, you picked a good one.
Oh yeah.
Agility is like... Okay, I will say one of the downsides is that some of these skills are definitely used more than others, but that also might just be some of the paths we took just happened to use...
Coincide perfectly for me.
Or
For
unperfectly for
Catman.
us. We kept running into like skills we did not have, but like the same skills we
Ooh.
didn't have.
Yeah.
Okay, the bandit gives chase, but you are too quick for him. You sprint away until you have enough distance to deal with the bandit at your leisure. You have not lost stamina during this fight. I feel like
I have not.
when I played through this, I played through this with my dad actually. We lost several stamina during this.
I'm Catman. What do you expect?
Okay, you loose an arrow, you harass the man with thrown knives, or incapacitate the bandit with runic magic. So the knives is
Gun.
actually thievery. Oh, you don't have thievery. You have stealth.
I
Okay.
don't.
All right. So you have to do the runic magic
Yeah.
because it required one of those three to get there in the first place.
So it's my Arcana magic,
Yeah.
which is my gun.
So anyway, you start blasting. That's what it says.
Yeah, of course.
You fumble in your pack for a rune that might help. Okay, so I guess the rune you're out of bullets.
I'm at. I gotta reload.
You gotta look for your bullets. That's what your runes are. After a moment, you fish out a flame rune and clutch it tightly in hand. So I guess you just have a bunch of these. That'd be cool though, as like a fantasy thing where like you have like different bullets that have different powers on them. You
Yeah.
know, you have like a gun. You have like a gun that you can equip different magics into. I've always thought that concept's kind of neat.
Yeah. Let's say, for Catman's sake, that's just how it is.
You have runic bullets.
Runic bullets.
Um, there's a scalding heap envelops you, and you push the energy forward to surround your pursuer. Within a moment, all the metal the bandit carries glows white hot. He shrieks as the blazing metal of his mace sears his palm and drops to the ground. Yet still the man screams. He flails about, staggering this way and that in an attempt to escape the burning hot hook at the end of his arm. Oh my gosh! How are you not killing these people? He's dead. He's dead from shock alone.
So much description of them getting like mauled and destroyed, and like
Like
they're
we
not
did
dead. Like
not.
what? How?
When me and my dad played this, we did not kill people this bad. I can't believe you, the player, are this brutal. You are
Catman
this.
plays no games.
You are this quiet, reserved, just killing machine.
Like he's
You.
timid and all
I gotta.
shy, but when it comes to
I
combat,
gotta
he's
paint
like
this
no.
again. You knowingly gave a heat spell to a person with a metal hook hand with a prosthetic. You lit someone's prosthetic on fire.
uh,
Uh,
Sadistic, a little,
399.
huh?
What is wrong with you?
Everything.
You find yourself standing in a loose circle with your companions and no bandits that close at hand. Yeah, because they're all scared of you now. Even more
Yeah,
of the energy emerged from the trees. Even more of the enemy emerged from the trees, however, and they begin to surround you. They sent like 200 people after you, though.
they all died.
And
Well, they're
kill
all
all of them.
dying.
What now? Breathes Miriam. You're sure it's the first time you've heard fear in her voice. The bandits' leader chuckles and speaks, causing the firelight to play off the long scar on the side of his face in a sinister way. Drop your valuables and leave. There's no need for you to die here. Oh, let me let you in on something.
Have you seen my runes?
Cox gun. The other bandits hoot and howl and brandish their blades and axes in the air in front of you. Braxton glances sideways at you. There's too many of them. We cannot win this fight. She edges backwards, and you notice her lean in the direction of Dragonholt. You can't have my gold. I'll be using it to start my business, hisses Miriam. Despite the bite in her words, you notice her hands trembling. I only have $100,000 donated to me by my rich uncle. I'm a startup. It's a small startup company. So, fend off the bandits long enough for the others to escape. Brawling, dueling, or military, you can't do that. Can you?
Nope.
Nope. Create a diversion and flee towards Dragonholt. Deception or performance. Nope.
Nope.
Create a smoke screen and escape towards Dragonholt. Nope. Turn tail and run. That's all you can do.
Damn. I am a coward through and through, but I kill. Then I have to run.
You cannot face the consequences of your actions.
Nope.
Go, shouts Braxton, stepping forward with her shield raised. I'll hold him off. You run for it, tearing through the trees towards Dragonholt, and she cry as the cries of battle and the clash of arms ring out. Braxton dies. No, After a few moments, you hear heavy footsteps behind you. Fearing the worst, you crane your neck to see Braxton gaining on you rapidly. Keep going, she wheezes. They're right behind me. 3, 6, 4, 5. You run through Eventide Forest, scrambling and stumbling as you go. You were surprised to discover that you can see and realize that the sun must already be rising somewhere beyond the trees. Time passes. We are now at time number 6. We only have 2 time left.
Oh no.
The narrow and twisting path soon comes to a steep climb with a rocky outcropping that rises above on either side. Large standing stone towers to your right. You can hear the bandits still coming behind you, shouting to their fellows like hounds on the hunt, but any pursuer will have to scramble up this same narrow gulch. Tip over the standing stone to block the path. Fire your bow from high ground, requires archery. Set a trap for the approaching bandits, requires survival. You do not have that.
Don't have. Damn.
Alright, so you tip over the standing stone.
Yep.
I can't believe you chose to tip over the standing stone.
I chose this.
You chose this by your inability to do anything else. Straining and grunting, you push against the standing stone, getting nowhere. Together, says Braxton, slipping forward and placing her shoulder to the rock. The stone grudgingly begins to give way, but the task is physically draining. If you do not have athletics or endurance, what do you have? You have agility. You lose 2 stamina. Okay, you finally lose some. As the bandits come roaring up the gulch, you push as one, and the standing stone picks up an alarming speed, falling with a crash that crushes several bandits while others get to a stop. Okay, what's your death count now? What's your kill count?
All of it?
as the stone's rolling down the street. Double kill, triple kill, ultra kill, kill mania. Just getting the badges.
Kill streak. And then you just hear the Mario 1-up sound.
With the bandits preoccupied by your efforts back at the gulch, you are able to gain a considerable lead on them. The rocky terrain continues to rise up around you, the trees of Eventide Forest becoming smaller and scrappier as you go. Soon you come to a sheer cliff face, only a few scraggly trees clinging to the rocks rising above you. Sunlight spills across the sky above the cliff, a promise of freedom and safety. You could climb up to the top, but it would be a challenge. The path continues to the left a fair distance, then becomes a tight switchback crawling up the top of the rise. It would be a safer route to the top, but slower than climbing directly. So you can climb it, which is faster, or you can run the long way.
I feel like we should climb it.
Okay. 4055. You scramble up the cliff face, relying on trees that cling to cracks in the rocks for handholds. This provides unwise, as not all the trees are anchored securely enough to bear your weight, and you find yourself dangling from your fingertips above a steep drop. You lose 2 stamina, unless you have athletics. You do not.
I do not.
12.
So I'm down to 12.
Miriam isn't making things any easier either, despite Braxton's efforts. I'll be fine, she huffs. I'm not the only one here who needs help, she says with a nod at you. In fairness to the gnome, she's not dangling from her fingertips. Braxton makes her way over to you and helps you regain your footing. Test each toe hold before you put weight on it, she says. You resume your climb, but you hear shouting below you. The bandits have reached the bottom of the cliff. They immediately begin pelting you with arrows and stones, making the rest of the climb a nightmare. You each lose 3 stamina unless you have agility.
I've got agility.
Finally, you make it to the top, grasping for breath. You are safe from the bandits' arrows up here, but the bandits have already begun to climb up after you. You can throw rocks at the bandits, return fire with your bow, smash a vial of alchemical fire on the cliff face, blast the cliff face with runic magic. Okay, so archery, alchemy, but arcana.
Arcana.
Okay.
Give them the whole sizzle, zizzle, pow, pow.
3, 9, 6, 7. This is a moment in a B movie where a guy just pulls out a gun and just starts shooting at the cliff, and then a bunch of rocks fall. Braxton produces an axe from her baggage, and you set to work clearing. Wrong one. You produce a blasting rune from an interior pocket and calmly bend the energy within to your will. You extend the phantom limb towards the rock below and, with a clenched fist, impact the cliff face. Stones and earth shatter and fly, showering the climbing bandits with rocky shrapnel. A great cloud of dirt and dust covers the path below, causing the bandits to cough and sputter. Soon the bandits have mesothelioma. They're coughing.
Man, I feel like the bandits
have. They've had a rough time.
Yeah. They're having it worse than us. We're the bandits. Holy crap!
Have you seen that one Harley Quinn thing? It's like, oh no, I'm sorry. She gave you cancer. Oh no,
yeah.
Harley.
You gave me cancer.
You gave me cancer. You gave them mesothelioma. It's like, oh no, it's a mesothelioma spell.
I'm going home to see my kids.
Great. A great cloud of dirt and dust covers the path below, causing the bandits to cough and sputter. Soon the bandits are running from the cloud, retreating into the forest. You have escaped.
Dang it. Those poor bandits.
Alright. Entry 9999. As the sun climbs above the trees, you continue your journey towards Dragonholt. At your new elevation, the trees are smaller and further apart, and at some point you have passed an invisible barrier where you are not in the forest so much as a rocky plain with occasional trees. Dragonholt lies below you, and you can see the beacon tower rising above the trees, the sun climbing the sky behind it. You have less than an hour of walking before you. Time passes. We are at 7 time. At length, you walk through an orchard, the twisted trees heavy with fruit and propped up by weathered boards and poles. Then you find yourself on Dragonholt's main street, walking beneath the dueling dragon statues that serve as the closest thing to a city gate. One dragon is carved from black stone, the other from white, and they arch across the street above you, not quite touching. Marvelous, breathes Braxton. Some sort of memorial of the Dragon Wars, says Miriam. This way, she says, and skips down the cobbled street as if she hadn't been woken in the middle of the night by bandits. You cross a that was actually written in there. I didn't say that.
Yeah, no, see, like, they don't give a shit about the bandits. They just destroyed and murdered all of them.
Yeah, Miriam's like,
That's why she's the
I have
perfect.
countless murders on it. Well, it's not her hands. You're the one that killed everyone.
Yeah.
You cross a crowded village green that is laid out before a garden shrine with a domed glass ceiling. In front of the shrine stands a marble spire atop which burns a beacon fire. Then you pass the building's dark with soot and marred by broken windows. Miriam pauses at an intersection and peers down 2 side streets before nodding vigorously and leading the way south. We'll get a proper breakfast as soon as we find my aunt's inn, she says. It's called the Swan. Does it have a lovely white swan painted on its sign? Asked Braxton. Yes, it does. Is that it? Right there? She points, and Miriam beams. That's it, let's go! She rushes off in a fresh burst of energy, leaving you stumbling along behind. When you finally reach the Swan, you find Miriam babbling excitedly to a gnome who looks almost exactly like her, plus 20 years. You must be Miriam's friends, says the older woman. I'm Miriam's aunt, Sapphire. It's good to meet you. She welcomes you inside. You step down into a blessedly... I could do a better voice for this. Oh, you must be Miriam's friends, said the older woman. I'm Miriam's aunt, Sapphire. It's good to meet you. She welcomes you inside, and you step down into a blessedly cool, half-sunken common room, where a scattering of thick oak tables and sturdy chairs lie beneath rafters strung with herbs and root vegetables. Thick iron lanterns rest on each table, none lit now, and the light streams in from tall windows against the south wall. Please have a seat, she says your host, and you do. We made it, says Braxton, dropping heavily into a chair that creaks under her weight. I think I could sleep for a week. But when I was throwing spears at everyone, I only slept like for 4 hours after that. That wasn't so bad.
That wasn't that bad. But this, seeing you murder everybody?
Yeah, seeing you murder everyone, I need therapy. Like, I thought the beastmen were bad, but I actually, precisionally, didn't kill them, you know?
Oh, I wasn't prepared for Catman.
Yeah, I wasn't prepared for Catman. It's an art to not kill someone. You have not mastered that art whatsoever. In fact, you have a blatant disregard for it.
You abandoned it.
You have a blatant disregard for human life, and you know what? I respect that.
And that's why I'm glad you're on our side.
Being a cat and all. You have blatant disregard for human life, which is probably why you're a cat.
Answers back with a...
Meow. Oh man, okay. This I'm glad we did this before you drew your character, because now you have a lot to go off of.
Honestly,
a gun, the cat ears, a smiling face of disregard for human life.
Beware the rune gun.
None of that, says Miriam. We have work to do. Bryson lifts her head and glares. Starting tomorrow, I guess. Let's all take today off. Miriam vanishes into a back room, then appears a few minutes later with a tray rattling with glass bottles of red liquid. Here, she says, distributes the bottles. Hard wine. It's the least I can do for helping you get here. No, it's the blood of our enemies.
It's the blood of our enemies. If
you gain 3 healing potions, item A.
Ooh. Okay.
So I'm just writing healing potion X3. So healing potions, you can carry multiple of them. You may drink a potion at any time. To do so, you must have at least 1 potion recorded on your character sheet. When you drink a healing potion, reduce the number of healing potions you have by 1 and recover half your maximum stamina.
Nice. Okay.
Sapphire returns a moment later with a larger tray overflowing with plates of yellow eggs, loaves of dark brown bread, and a tall pitcher of milk. I hope you'll stay at the Swan for as long as you like, she says. No charge, of course. Not after what you went through to get my Miriam here safely. You know, him.
See, Sapphire knows. That's why she brought the milk. She brought the milk.
I felt the soul, thousands of souls, all crying out in unison and then extinguished.
The blood moon rises.
Braxton takes... Catman. Miriam pours everyone a glass of milk. She holds hers aloft and exclaims, 2 new roads. Braxton takes a glass, holds it up, looks from Miriam to Sapphire to you. 2 new friends. The meal is amazing, and you soon collapse in rooms provided by your generous host. You doze through the majority of the day. After dinner, you rest in the common room, chatting idly with Braxton and another patron. Soon the lack of a good night's sleep is too much, and you retire to your room. You will have to explore Dragonholt on the morrow, and so we will. That is where we're going to end it today. We are at the end of the first, end of the first book. So you recover half of your maximum stamina.
So I'm back at full.
You each recover one skill. If you lost one, you each refresh your activation token, blah, blah, blah. You gain one experience. So let me pull out. Alright, so we're going to stop there for now. How'd you enjoy it?
I like it. It's fun.
Yeah,
I didn't realize how much of a murderer I was gonna
yeah.
be, but
No, I think part of the enjoyment is going to be our interpretation with some of this stuff too, because it is going to be very linear. Otherwise, I'm reading directly from the book. You don't really get to role play so much, except in designing your characters. But I think it's still like a really good time otherwise. And as you might imagine, there's lots of different paths and different things you can experience, and probably not experience too. Or probably not gonna get to everything.
yeah.
But yeah, next time we start, we're going to start here in Dragonholt, and you're going to have all these different places you can try to go to, and that'll be it next time. So again,
Catman.
thank you, Catman, for playing this game with me. And again, this has been Legacy of Dragonholt with me, Kozy, and Jack.
Hey,
And
that's me.
Legacy of Dragonholt is published by Fantasy Flight Games and was where's the box? And it was designed by Nikki Valens. And so if you can find a copy of this game, go and support the creator and Fantasy Flight Games. And we hope to see you next time.
Thank you for listening if you did.
Yeah, thank you for listening.